Hello and welcome to the Islanders Talk Show. This is a talk show regarding all things top lane. If you enjoy this talk show, you can catch me live 10 a.m. Eastern almost every morning. I have the schedule up on my Twitch.tv channel, so you can go there and find it. I'll link it in the bio or the description, wherever media outlet source you are watching this from. I'll have a link somewhere for you. The talk shows, we do this every Monday. The stream will start 10 a.m. Eastern, but I typically do this about an hour into the show. That way, it gives opportunity for people to come in and whatnot, so you guys don't miss it. I normally do a Q&A segment after the initial subject that I'm talking about on the talk show. So if you want to come and participate in that, if you got questions regarding whatever we're talking about, even if it was a previous topic, or you have something unrelated to the particular subject, I'll also take those questions. Just whatever the subject we're talking about, though, we'll take priority in those who ask it. Today, though, we are talking about an important concept. I'm very excited to share this with you guys. It's triangular farming, okay? This is I would consider this an advanced concept, and some people may not, but I think this is a concept that a lot of people have to be taught. It's something that you don't normally do or normally catch on to after hours of playing it. Maybe if you have, years of experience, maybe. But I really feel like this is something that needs to be taught. Now, you might have done this in the past, maybe once or twice, but you're not consistent with it because maybe you don't further understand the in-depthness of it. Or maybe you do. Maybe you have been taught this, right? And you tried it out. But maybe there were some flaws or disadvantages to your strategy. And we'll go over that. What are the disadvantages to triangular farming? Help you recognize them. And now you know how to prevent those disadvantages so you can triangular farm efficiently. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go over today is what is triangular farming. So those who have never heard about triangular farming, and you're a top laner or somebody coming into top, and you're stuck in that like silver elo, that bronze elo, trying to get over that hump. This is something very crucial and something very important to understand and know to finally get you over that curve. Maybe you're really good with your champion, but you're just not very good in macro play or understand where to go when. This is something very important. So triangular farming is a farming route or pattern top laners use to gain additional gold experience that is not available to their opponent. Okay, so how do you, that's pretty big. How do you get gold and experience points that your opponents cannot get, right? This is how you do this is this path, right? Triangular farming. It's listed here. You go from the lane, Scuttle Crab to jungle camps back to lane, and that does not have to be in that particular order, right? So if you are normally you use this when you're ahead, when you're pushing into your opponent. You can also use this strategy when you're behind, and we'll go over how you can do that here in just a minute. But this is mainly used when you're ahead. So if I push my opponent into the tower, rather than harassing him underneath the tower and just trying to throw spells at him or trying to harass him so they miss 1 or 2 CS, I'm just begging for the enemy jungler to come and gank me, right? Even if I got visioned up and I'm just sitting there at the edge and trying to harass this guy, more than likely that guy is still going to take that bait, run up there, and dive. They're going to rush me when they gank me just because I'm the furthest distance possible from my tower. So I have to run a marathon just to get back to my tower. So instead of putting yourself in that position and not benefiting or taking your lead even further, you can do triangular farming, which will take your lead even further. So if this guy is playing really safe, he's playing like a little girl, and you are bullying him out of lane and he's farming underneath tower, but at the end of the day, he's still getting all his experience points. He's still getting all his goals. He knows how to farm the tower. He's still catching up. So it looks like you're beating him, but in theory, you guys are pretty much equal, and he could potentially outscale you. And this is a way that you can outscale him by being aggressive within your lane, or you're being dominant in your lane and take advantage of experience and gold that's not available to him. So once I push him in, I'll run into the river, take the Scuttle Crab, maybe go, and if I know the enemy's jungle buff's up, I'll go and take that buff, or maybe take a small camp or two, and then I'll go back to my lane, right? You're gaining, this is the experience points and gold that is not available to your opponent, because the Scuttle Crab is there, the jungle camps are there, but they're not in the top lane. So you roaming and taking the advantage of, hey, I got pushed underneath tower, there's no farm for me to get because it's all underneath tower. Like, I gotta wait until the tower tanks all our minions and then pushes it back to the center. So rather than just standing there at the edge of the tower and harassing him, taking advantage of going into the jungle and stealing that Scuttle Crab for vision, stealing the camps for more experience points and more gold that is not available to your opponent. And that is how you're going to potentially maybe outscale him, where you can start diving him, or those moments when you finally do catch him away from the tower, you are just strong enough to kill him and take advantage of that, the opportunities he does come out and play. Now, here's the purpose of triangular farming, and this is labeling what are the different situations that you can use this in. When you're ahead, it is a way to gain additional golden experience when you push, push on any tower to further lead. We just explained that. This is also an opportunity to establish vision and put the enemy jungler behind by stealing their camps. Okay, so while you're roaming, right, don't just roam and steal camps. Place down those wards. Okay, like place down those wards because this is going to help you out in the long run because your team will know where the enemy jungler is at. They'll know if somebody is roaming in gank. You might potentially know the gank is coming before it even hits hits towards the top side of the map because you see him going through the jungle. You know he doesn't have camps in there. What is he gonna do? I'm in the top lane. I'm good. I have no camps to take. He's gonna look for a lane to gank. So this would give you an opportunity to telegraph that gank that is coming. Also, too, it's an opportunity for your mid laner to understand and know where the enemy jungler is at so he doesn't get camped. So you're helping out your teammates as well. You're also helping out your jungler because if they see the jungle at the top side of the map because you establish vision, they're able to do dragon or he's able to gank bot knowing that they're uncontested and they have a number advantage. Also, too, if you're stealing the jungle camps, you're potentially winning 2 lanes here. You're winning 2 lanes. You're not only winning your top lane and furthering your lead in the top lane, but you're also putting the enemy jungler behind. So and that's helping out your jungler, right? Your jungler has more gold and experience points than the enemy jungler. So that way he can't take advantage of him when he does invade, when he does gank and their jungler comes up and have to fight, potentially the same number because they both came up. So bot lane 3v3 or top lane 2v2. You're doing 2 things at once. And that's something that's very important to understand. When you are a good player and you understand how to play top lane correctly, it is not enough to win your lane and climb. It is not enough. You have to win other lanes. And this is one of the techniques and the strategies that you use to help win other lanes when you're a dominant force in that top lane. Now, when you are behind, you're not normally going to use triangular farming, but it's still a possibility that you can use triangular farming in certain situations, okay? A way that you can, if your opponent freezes the wave in a dangerous spot, because you're behind, you're getting bullied out, he freezes in a dangerous spot, and you cannot go up to approach that wave because he's zoning you off. You potentially can die there, so you're not getting gold, you're not getting experience. Rather than just sitting underneath your tower and trying not to feed and trying to play safe so potentially your team can carry you, rather than doing that, you need to be using the triangular farming technique. You need to be going taking the small camps. If you're the red side and the Krugs are your jungle, take that as well, but don't be a dick. Don't be a dick to your jungler and not finish that camp off. Make sure when you go and you start that camp, make sure you finish it. Now, this is not a bad thing it's not a bad thing, right, to take your jungle camp away from your jungle, all right? In certain situations. If your jungler is near the bottom side of the map and he's ganking or farming or something, unless you know that it's like his first clear and he's routing up there, obviously don't take it. But it's later in the game and your jungler is down bot side and is doing his thing bot lane, it's okay to take that camp because more than likely by the time he comes back up there, that camp is already going to be spawned. So rather than sitting underneath the tower not getting golden experience points, take that golden experience points that's just sitting there, right? It's not going to go to the homeless, right? The homeless ain't going to come and take that. Go up there and take that camp, and that way you can at least get something while you're waiting for that lane to finally break his freeze and push. Now, if your jungler is tearing the top side of the map, obviously don't take his camp. Don't take his camp. He will gain more experience points and gold by taking that camp than what you will. However, this is something you can do. You're stuck. It's a dangerous spot. Your jungler is taking that camp, right? Or he's fixing to. Ping the jungler's help. Even if you guys sit there and type, you're underneath the tower and you can't get anything anyways, you can just type to him and be like, hey man, he's got this thing frozen and zoned off for me. Do you mind coming up and breaking this freeze? Have your jungler come up there, you clear the wave, push into the tower, and let the lane reset, right? Now, more than likely, it will start pushing to you because he is more aggressive, so he's last hitting better than you, and it will start pushing your way, and you can finally start farming, and you finally can start getting experience points, okay? Be wary, though, when you use this strategy if there is a big wave, okay? If there's a big wave, all right, and he sees you leave, especially if vision's already established, he will more likely push that wave in tower. So if you got like 15 minions there, and that his opponent's got stacked up, and he starts pushing that in the tower, and you're doing Krugs, that's gonna be really bad because you're gonna miss a lot more CS and experience points that you could have gained when you went back to lane. So at that point in time, you start going to there, and he starts pushing that wave really fast. Forget that camp, just come back and farm your wave, right? After you farm that wave and the minions are starting to crash in the middle, then maybe go back and do the Krugs. You might mainly want to do this when there's only like 3 or so minions that he's freezing, because if you go do Krugs and there's 3 minions versus 3 minions, they're not going to kill each other really fast, right? You might miss maybe 2 CS, while they're killing each other, and you're getting something, while the guy's trying to zone you off. You can also help establish vision if your lane goes MIA. So what I mean by this, like if you're behind, right, and if I have the opportunity to go to Scuttle Crab, then I can do Scuttle Crab. Obviously, I'm getting vision there, Scuttle's vision, but I can also place wards near the top, near the top side of the enemy jungle. This way, when my top laner finally pushes that tower push that frozen wave into my tower and finally pushes, and I have it, he will use the same concept. He will go about and go to triangular farming, okay? Because you're pushed, he can't really dive you, you're in the tower, so he's going to start triangular farming. And there's a possibility that he might gank your mid lane. There's a possibility he might invade while your jungler's low, and he will get kills off that and skyrocket his lead. So if you triangular farm while that lane's frozen and place vision, get vision, establish vision, your allies are aware that your top laner is roaming around. They know where exactly his location is at, and they can play more safe if he's around, or potentially move out of that area so they don't get killed. Now, if it's more neutral, right, whether you're behind, whether you're ahead, there is a possibility of ganking mid while you're roaming around. So if you go do Scuttle Crab, doesn't matter if you're behind, doesn't matter if you're ahead, and your mid laner is struggling, the enemy is playing really aggressive and he's being an idiot, go over and gank him, right? Gank him, kill him, and this way you're not only winning your lane, you are also winning other lanes. Or if you're not winning your lane, you're helping to win other lanes. You can't win your lane, win other lanes, okay? That's a trick to climb. If you're struggling, make sure you're being beneficial for your team. Just because you are behind does not mean you cannot be beneficial for your team, okay? Now we're going to go over the advantages. And it's a little bit redundant in what we were just talking about, but I'll go a little bit further into what the advantages are to triangular farming. Obviously, you get extra gold and experience points that's not available to your opponent because the Scuttle Crabs and jungle camps aren't available to the top laner. So taking these camps, getting that lead is a great way to get that edge over your opponent, especially when he's playing like a little girl and he's staying underneath the tower. Establish vision for future ganks and roams and invades, okay? This can help either way. If I establish vision and the enemy jungler is coming to gank mid lane, or he's coming to gank top, or he's coming to invade the jungler, that vision I place will help them in that. It will help assist to understand what's going on, and they cannot take advantage with their invade. Also, too, it opens up an opportunity for us to abuse the jungler. If he does try to invade, we might be able to collapse on him. It's the same way if your jungler wants to invade. If your jungler wants to invade, he has vision already established for himself, where he can roam, he can gank, he can invade without having to worry about, am I going to face check the enemy jungler and potentially get roamed and collapsed on. Another advantage is this can put the enemy jungler behind, as we discussed before. Stealing that camps, winning that jungle game for your jungler will help him out and make sure that your jungler is that much stronger and he has more opportunities to gank your lanes. And take further advantage of the lead that you are establishing for him. Now we're going to go over some of the disadvantages, right? It's not without its flaws. It's not a perfect system. There are some things to be aware about, and maybe you have done triangular farming in the past. Accidents have happened. You're like, crap, this is terrible advice. It's not terrible advice. You might not be aware of what are the disadvantages, and if you're aware of what can go wrong, you can prevent it, okay? One of the things is leaving yourself vulnerable, being picked off if there's prior enemy vision. Alright, so the top, the mid laner, and the jungler can collapse on you. So if you start roaming around, the jungler's already been there and placed down wards. There's a possibility while you're doing Scuttle Crab, all 3 of them guys are going to sandwich you and then kill you, okay? This is simple. This is simple. If you are doing the Scuttle Crab or you're doing a enemy jungle camp and stuff, I usually, if I go and steal the buff, alright, in the top side of the map, I'll ward behind me so I can see that see that top laner disappearing, especially if he clears the wave and the lane's in fog of war. I can see him coming over to me, and I can be aware that, hey, possibility that more people are coming, I'm going to get collapsed on, okay? So don't fall for this. If you're doing Scuttle Crab in the mid laner, the jungler, the top laner, they also go MIA, or just certain ones go MIA. Leave the Scuttle Crab alone. Stop doing it. Just leave. Because that 70 gold, 60, 70 gold, that little bit of experience points is not worth taking a time out for 30 seconds while you're dead And it's not even that, because you also have to walk back to your lane. So there's a possibility you're missing like 40 to 45 seconds without farm just for 70 gold and experience points while this wave's crashing into your tower within that time, and you're losing a lot more. So don't be blind and don't be thirsty for those jungle camps or for that invade. Be aware when people go missing, and make sure that you do not get collapsed on. If you leave your tower unattended for too long, there's a possibility you might lose your tower. Okay, and I think a lot of people will do triangular farming. They'll see this happen and think triangular farming is a bad thing. This is like the most common mistake I see. Be aware of where your lane's at, right? It's all about wave management. Okay, it's all about wave management. Be aware of where the lane's at. Go back up there, you know, don't do the full route. You don't have to do the full route. Stop it halfway if you have to. Come back to your lane. You got your little bit of experience points. You got a little bit of gold. Your enemy start pushing it really fast because you know you're not in lane. Go back to your lane and start farming, you know, within your lane. That way you're not getting behind. It's the thing. Like if you leave every single time, if you here's it. Also, too, with triangular farming, there will be times you will lose tower. Okay, there will be times that it will not be preventable. There's times where I roam, I lose tower, and I'm like, dang, I stayed out for too long. But the reason why I'm doing that is I'm making big plays. I teleported bot lane, I'm trying to tear them up. I went mid lane, we're doing a gank, we get the kill. There will be times where you will lose your tower, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's because you're making bigger plays elsewhere. Now, you can nerf this a little bit by, if I'm elsewhere at my jungler's top side, ping for your jungler to assist you in top lane so he goes over, at least clears the wave so you don't lose the tower. Same way, if I gank mid lane and we killed the mid laner and top lane's pushing really hard and he didn't roam and follow me, then maybe I should push with that mid laner and take that mid lane tower. Two people taking one tower can be a lot faster than one person on the top side of the map trying to take that tower. So there are ways to, even though you lose your tower, you can make bigger plays elsewhere and try to make up for that loss that you have. Now, if you do triangular farming, and every time you do triangular farming, and every time you come back, your tower is chunked like half health, you're probably doing triangular farming wrong. This is not something that, like, when you triangular farm, you will lose tower, don't worry about it. I'm not saying that. It will happen sometimes, but there are ways to prevent it, right? If you leave every single time and you come back and your tower is half health, you're doing it wrong. You're doing something wrong. You're not paying. Your situational awareness is off. You need to improve on that. I'm not saying that you should not triangular farm. You should understand that, hey, these are the mistakes I'm making, and I need to do this in order to improve. Another disadvantage is you could lose in wave management, actually losing experience points more so than what you're gaining in the jungles. An example of this is what I gave earlier. If my guy is freezing on me and there's like 15 minions over, he's freezing, I can't get at him. Because he's just, he's managing way well, and I can't farm, I can't get experience points, so I'm going to go triangular farm. And as soon as he notices me doing skull crab or I'm away, he pushes that into the tower, and I just lost 15 minions for a camp. Alright, you'll get more experience points and more gold. Losing 1 or 2 minions is not that bad. The camp probably is worth more than that. But don't lose in the wave management and not pay attention where the wave's at and what your opponent's doing, because you're like, okay, now is a good time to farm, right? Now is a good time to go triangular farm. There are times where you have to be like, okay, I can't do this right now. I need to go back. Even though I started to, I need to go back because he's pushing this, okay? If anything, this is good. He broke the freeze. Now you can freeze it in front of your tower, especially if that guy is really aggressive and he's a counter to you. Freeze it in front of your tower, and then now you can, you can potentially keep farming a lane without worry. And we'll go over that. We'll go over more. We'll do episodes in the future about not triangular farming. I'm doing that now, but we'll go do episodes about wave management and when to play, when behind, and stuff along that regards in the future. But for now, triangular farming, right? Just don't lose wave management. If the lane management knowledge you have right now, use that and benefit triangular farming, because this concept works together with other concepts, okay? It's not just one singular thing. All the concepts work together, and that's what makes it a good player, to understand every single concept and to implement them within your gameplay. So in summary, okay, in short, triangular farming is a way to get ahead over your opponent by getting additional gold and experience points that's not available to your opponent. Okay, this is the way where you take your lead and go even further with it. Okay, this is what makes a higher elo player. Help establish vision for future ganks and roams and invades. So this works both ways. It not only helps out like the enemy jungler ganking and invading your guys, but it also helps your jungler to gank and invade the enemy jungle. As well as make bigger plays elsewhere. If he notices a jungle on the top side of the map, that is the opportunity to do dragon. You can even help him out when you see if you place the vision there and you understand the vision's there, and you see the enemy jungler within that jungle camps, then start pinging assistance for dragon and start pinging the, like, I'll hit assistance and I'll just ping the jungler. That way the jungle knows that I'm trying to tell him your jungler's here through dragon. Okay. It also puts the enemy jungler behind. As we discussed many times, it's not enough to climb to win just your lane. You have to win other lanes, okay? You got to win other lanes, all right? If you get good, you know you're a champion. That's the thing. When it comes to climbing, you got to know you're a champion. You got to know your champion's limits, and you have to be able to abuse that. Now, if you do that, you're like, I still can't climb. It's because of your decision making within the game. This is one of the things, one of the techniques that you can implement in your gameplay to get you further ahead, to get you climbing and make you a better player. Because this is one of the ways that not only will you win your lane, but you'll also win the jungle game. You might even win the mid lane game if you start roaming and you have potential ganks for them available. Okay, and overall, this is how you get good. Okay, this is what makes a high elo player. All right, concepts like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this talk show, the Islanders talk show. Thank you guys for watching. We are going to move into our question and answer segment if anyone in the audience has any questions regarding top lane. You guys can go ahead and start asking them while I'm closing out the video.